Hey, Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, and the season is getting underway. It is the high wind season, and let me tell you, of riding like this, yesterday was one of those days where I was looking at a bunch of things that were happening at the beach and a bunch of guys out there kiting, and I want to give you guys some tips about high wind kiting. The main thing is being safe in this sport. When you get into the high winds, things can happen really fast. And also, gear and equipment takes the beating and abuse. Now, I want to give you some tips because it's very important to keep this safety in line. And I want to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about. So, let's talk about the kite. What is the difference in the kite and high winds? Well, let me tell you. You're usually flying small kites, and when you're flying small kites, it is very important, number one, make sure that these are pumped up good and solid. Smaller kites get loaded a lot more. Larger kites don't, and because of that, you can get collapsing and everything else within that kite, loading it up and having it depowered a lot, pulling it beyond its flying point. So it's very, very important. I was watching a guy kite yesterday and I thought he had a leak. He didn't. It just was not pumped solid enough. He was about a 200-pound rider, and the way he's loading that kite, these things need to be pumped solid in high winds. So don't underestimate that. Don't overinflate them. Somebody will come back in and tell me that, oh, I overinflated my kite. Making sure they're good and solid. These connection points take a lot more load, so you want to make sure you get it pumped solid. Now, the other thing is, don't forget to check these kites. You don't ride the small kites all the time. It's not as common, and I'll come in and I will see wear and tear on bridles. Things that will break more commonly on these kites that sit around that you don't use as much. That is a very bad situation. You do not want to be out there dealing with the bad side of things when something breaks. All your valves, all your bridles, check these kites. You don't normally pull them out, you don't check it. Valves, all those kind of things. Now, the other thing that I hear so commonly from guys that come out to the park, I'm looking for a small kite, I've got this kite, I got it for a couple $100, I'm only going to use it a few times of the year. Yeah, it's an older one, but it will work. Let me tell you how many times they pull these kites out and the material of the dacron and the material of the sail has all softened up. These are coated materials. There are reasons they're stiffer. They good porosity, all of that stuff. And what happens is they gradually break down. The efficiency of this kite goes down. That gives you also a softer type leading edge, more folding, more problems in that type of material. So picking up an older kite is not a good deal. Getting it cheap, putting your life on the line in some of the most hardest conditions that we ride in is the high winds, and you're going to pick up a kite that is cheap, it's been sitting around, wear and tear, and it's not up to par. Not a good thing. I don't understand that. They will bring out kites, we'll see them at the park, and these things are barely inflating. They're 5 years old. The design and technology in kites nowadays has, in the last 4 and 5 years, has ramped up tremendously. The stability in these smaller kites, keeping them from falling from the air, their turning response, all of those things have changed in kites. And let me tell you, please, please, do not hang your life on a kite that is so old, it's barely staying in the air. That's when you get hurt. Now, those are a lot of things with a kite. Please don't underestimate those things. They can help you and save you a lot of times. Now, the other things that I watch people that forget about things is leashes. Simple things as leashes. They go, whatever. High winds, the chances of using the leash is definitely a lot higher. And why? Here's one. This is a Nash leash. A lot of leashes are like this, and they have bungees inside of here. This is your release. A little bungee that's up inside of here that's knotted. You can't even see it. There's nowhere to see this bungee that keeps this handle. What a lot of people don't understand is these will lock under tension, but simply a little bump, if that bungee is gone, makes this release. Now if you had to go and release your chicken loop, you've lost your kite. So check these things. You want to double check all this stuff for high wind. Look at the clips in here. Stainless steel clips and all of these little clips of a leash. You want to make sure that these are in good working order and good solid. It's worthwhile to switch these out, maybe every season, every other season. These are the leashes that you won't lose your kite when things go bad. But a lot of people, they don't want to check it. They're ready and amped. We're going to get out here on the high wind water and be ready to go. Next is your bar. How many people don't understand that you need to check the systems? High wind situations, any nick and tear, the load that you put on something, if something's going to break, it's going to be the high winds. Take your time. Make sure that your chicken release works, your chicken loop. A lot of people don't check these until it's time to use them, and that's a bad thing. Double check all that stuff. The main thing, slow down when it comes to high winds. Check your gear and equipment. Make sure nothing is going to fail. It's very important to get that done. So, all your lines, your sheeting strap. The other one that wears in here is your safety link line, the one that links into that safety system. It runs through the bar. This is your flag out line. These will wear and tear. When's it going to fail? It's when it goes into high winds. So please, double check your gear and equipment when it comes to your bar, your lines, your leashes, do all that. Now, let me show you another little thing that a lot of people will not check only when it breaks. This is your connection to the kite. Even when you pull your safety system, I have seen a harness get ripped off of somebody. They're being drugged and they haven't released their leash. They're getting back to it. And up underneath here, these little neoprene covers, they're really nice and clean. This keeps all your lines from hanging, all your buckles and stuff. But what happens is you get wear and tear right up underneath here on the straps, and you won't notice it till that time comes. And having release, I've seen these a harness snap, bust, the harness goes, that pulls the leash, there goes your whole system. This is your final connection to that. Make sure to look up underneath here once in a while and check all of these connections where these straps are connected to, as well as where it runs through the connection into the bar. The wear and tear on straps happen and no one checks that. And when is it going to happen? It's when you're loading up the system and when you're getting all that stuff put together and having a problem. This is where it's going to happen, and that's the time it's going to fail. So make sure to do that. You want to make sure to keep up with all those little parts and pieces throughout your system. The other little thing I want to say is when you go to help somebody in the water and you have their board, don't worry about getting right next to them. You don't need to bring the board to the person. Bring the board downwind of the person. You don't need to take a chance of getting your lines close together. I saw that yesterday, and that was a point that I really wanted to express to somebody. You can help them and you can save them, but you do not need to go hand deliver it and get your lines and your kites close together. Small kites turn quick, they respond fast, and the next thing you know, we saw a tangle yesterday, and it really could have turned into a bad problem. But I had to go explain to the person, if you're going to help somebody, take the board downwind of them, clear of their lines, put the board in the water. They can easily drag to it. You don't need to personally hand that board to them. Anyway, that is Jeff Howard. I want to keep you safe on the water. Enjoy the high winds of the season. And if you have any questions at all about fixing or repairing, please give us a call here at Kiteboarding.com, and you have a great season.